It's like a
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are in a good condition. We are from the third group who would like to deliver the material about learning strategies. Firstly, I would like to introduce myself and my group members. My name is Palupi Handayani and my student number is 820200169.
My name is Olivia Fakhrotunnida. My student number is 8320200149.
I am Nurul Hekmah Amini with student number A3202000155.
My name is Adelia Rahmawati and my student number is A3202000159.
My name is Aqilla Hara and my student number is 830200164.
My name Putri Mentari. My student number is 8320200167.
So here I want to tell you about the learning strategies. The table of the contents is number 1, introduction, number 2, overview of language learning strategy, number 3 is language learning strategy taxonomy or classification, number 4, Rubin's taxonomy, number 5, O'Malley's taxonomy, number 6, Terns taxonomy, number 7, Oxford taxonomy, number 8, investigating language learning strategies, and the last is number 9 is closing. The first one is about introduction. Research into language learning strategy began in the 1960s, particularly when developments in cognitive psychology gave influence to the studies on LLS. The primary concern of Rubin and Wenden in 1987 has been on identifying what good language learners report they do to learn a second or foreign language, or in some cases are observed doing while learning a second or foreign language. There are many researchers who attempt to study on LLS. The first is Aaron Carton in 1966 was published The Method of Inference in Foreign Language Study. The next is Rubin in 1971 and 1975 started doing research and classified strategies in terms of process contributing directly or indirectly to language learning. The next is Wong Fillmore in 1976 and the others.
Overview of language learning strategy. It is simply refers to an individual's approach to complete a task. Strategic learners have metacognitive knowledge about their own thinking and learning approach. A strategy is useful for learner if it sits well with the learner's task and fits with their learning style. Skilled teachers can make learners aware of language learning strategy and use them to enhance their own learning. Learners use different LLS in performing the task and processing the new input. Students trained in using LLS can become better language learners. Lizard Clauston states that good language learners are able to appropriately use various LLS. They are tools for active, self-directed movement, essential for developing communicative competence. Teachers should learn about the students' interests, motivations, and learning styles. Teachers can learn the LLS already used by the students by observing their behavior in class. Teachers should provide a wide range of LLS in order to meet the needs of their students.
And now I want to explain about language learning strategy taxonomy or classification. There are different ways of classifying LLS. However, most of the attempts to classify LLS reflect more or less the same categorization. Rubin taxonomy. Rubin is the pioneer of the work field of strategies. She makes the distinction between strategies which give direct contribution to learning and those which contribute indirectly to learning. There are three types of LLS used by learners that contributes directly or indirectly to language learning. The first is learning strategies. Have direct contribution to the development of the language system constructed by the learner. They consist of two types. The first is cognitive strategies. Cognitive strategies refer to the step or operation used in learning that requires direct analysis, transformation, or synthesis of learning material. Six main cognitive strategies. They are clarification or verification, guessing or inductive inferencing, deductive reasoning, practice, memorization, and monitoring. And second is metacognitive strategies. Metacognitive strategies are those used to manage, regulate, or self-direct language learning. They involve various processes such as planning, prioritizing, setting goals, and self-management. Next is communication strategies. Communication strategies are less directly related to language learning since they focus in on the process of participating in a conversation and getting meaning across or clarifying the speaker message. They are used by the speaker with some difficulty due to the fact that their communication and go beyond their communication means or when confronted with misunderstanding by a co-speaker. The third is social strategies. Social strategies refer to the activities learners engage in which afford them opportunities to be exposed to and practice their knowledge.
O'Malley's taxonomy. O'Malley et al. Divide LLAs into three main subcategories, namely metacognitive strategies, cognitive strategies, and socio-affective strategies. Firstly, metacognitive strategies refer to a term used in information processing theory to indicate an executive function. That is, the strategies which involve planning for learning, thinking about learning process as it is taking place, monitoring of one's production or comprehension, and evaluating learning after an activity is completed. Among the main metacognitive strategies, it is possible to include advice organizer, directed attention, selective attention, self-management, functional planning, self-monitoring, delayed production, and self-evaluation. Secondly, cognitive strategies are more limited to specific learning tasks and they involve more direct manipulation of the learning material itself. Repetition, researching, translation, grouping, note-taking, deduction, recombination imaginary, auditory representation, keyword contextualization, elaboration, transfer, inferencing are among the most important cognitive strategies. And thirdly, socio-affective strategies have to do with social mediating activities and interacting with others. Cooperation and question for clarification are the main socio-affective strategies.
The next material is Strengths taxonomy. According to Strength in 1992, page 262 until 266, there are 5 main LLS, namely, the first is management and planning strategies. Management and planning strategies are related with the learner intention to direct his own learning. The second is cognitive strategies. Cognitive strategies are steps or operations used in learning that require direct analysis, transformation, or synthesis of learning material. The third is communicative experiential strategies. Communicative experiential strategies may include circumlocution, gesturing, paraphrase, or asking for repetition and explanation are techniques used by learners so as to keep a conversation going. The fourth is interpersonal strategies. Interpersonal strategies refers to strategies used by learners to monitor their own development and evaluate their own performance. And the last is affective strategies. Refers to strategies used by learners to cater their own feeling when dealing with the complexity of language learning.
The next is Oxford Taxonomy, the most comprehensive language LLS classification or the strategy of inventory for language learning, is developed by Oxford. She classifies strategies into two strategy orientation, direct and indirect. Number 1 is direct LLS, involve the identification, retention, storage, or retrieval of words and phrases. This is classified into memory, cognitive, and linguistic deficiency compensation strategy. Number 2 is indirect LLS, concern the management of the learning, which includes some activities such as needs assessment, activities planning and monitoring, and outcome evaluation. This is classified into 6 strategies is further subdivided, with the end result of 60 specific LLS. The strategies are: number 1, memory strategies; number 2, cognitive strategies; number 3, linguistic deficiency compensation strategies; number 4, metacognitive strategies; number 5, affective strategies; and number 6, social strategies.
Investigating language learning strategies. Learning strategies are mostly unobservable, though some may be associated with unobservable behavior. For example, a learner could use selective attention or unobservable to focus on the main ideas while listening to a new cast and then could decide to take notes or observable in order to remember the information. In almost all learning contexts, the only way to find out whether students are using learning strategies while engaged in a language task is by asking them relevant question or verbal report. Although self-report may be inaccurate if the learner does not report truthfully, it is still the only way to identify learners' mental processing. As Grenfell and Harris in 1990 have stated that it is not easy to get inside the black box of the human brain and find out what is going on there. We work with what we can get, which, despite the limitation, provides food for thought. Verbal report data are used to identify language learning strategies because observation does not capture mental processes. There are several research tools which can be used to collect data of learners' learning strategies. Researchers can ask language learners to describe their learning process and strategies through several techniques such as retrospective interview, simulate, recall interview, questionnaires, written diaries and journal, and think aloud protocols concurrent with a learning task. Each of these methods has limitations, but each provides important insight into unobservable mental learning strategies. In retrospective interviews, learners are asked to describe what they were thinking or doing during a recently completed learning task. See O'Malley and Chamat in 1990. The limitation is that students may forget some of the details of their thought process or may describe what they perceive as the right answer. A stimulated recall interview is more likely to accurately reveal students' actual learning strategies during a task because the student is videotaped while performing the task, and the interviewer then playbacks the videotape, pausing as necessary and asking the student to describe his or her thoughts at the specific moment during the learning task.
Next is I want to explain about questionnaires. This tool is the most efficient method which is frequently used to identify learners' LSS. The limitation of this tool are that students may not remember the strategies they have used in the past. They may claim to have used strategies that in fact they do not, or they may not understand the strategy described in the questionnaire items. For this reason, some studies have developed questionnaires based on the tasks that students have just completed. The reason is that students will be more likely to remember and to report accurately if little time has elapsed. Most of the descriptive studies has utilized a questionnaire called the Strategy Inventory for Language Learning developed by Oxford. This instrument has been used extensively to collect data on large number of most foreign language learners. This model is standardized measure with version for students of a variety of language, and such can be used to collect and analyze information about a large number of language learners. It has also been used in studies that correlate strategy used with variables such as learning style, gender, proficiency level, and culture. And another research tool is the Think Aloud individual interview, in which the learners are given a learning task and asked to describe their thought while working on it.
And for the next part is closing. This section has examined a number of issues in language learning strategies, notion, classification, and research tool. Learning language strategies are proved to have significant correlation with language proficiency, and good language learners commonly have various learning strategies. It is reasonable to support the idea that all language learners should be trained and developing the language learning strategies to become successful learners.